suffered a serious gunshot wound. We believe that the student is still in surgery in a local hospital. We certainly share our thoughts and our prayers with her and her family.
What can you tell us about explosives or Molotov cocktails?
Explosives, sure.
We believe, certainly as part of our protocol, our bomb squad from the sheriff's office responded. Initially because of the fact that we never know and we want to be err on the side of more assets than fewer. We believe that we have one device in the school. Initially it was reported to me that it was a Molotov cocktail, but my bomb squad is working that, trying to identify it. I'll have more information the next briefing that we provide.
Sure.
What can you tell us about the shooter? His age, class,
name,
Graduate.
First off, I will not, he's a current student of Arapahoe High School. I will not release him. We have identified him. We have investigators that are with his family and with his colleagues. I will not identify him at this point in time. When it is appropriate, I will identify the shooter.
What about the age, Sheriff?
Again, I won't provide any information relative to the shooter until I am prepared to do so relative to the ongoing investigation.
What about the student who intervened?
Question, you were talking about the west side of the school where the shooter entered. Give us a sense, because I've never been to this school. Give us a sense. Is this the office area? Is this one of the exits or entrances on the other side?
The west side, the question was the configuration of the school on the west side. The west side of this school is typically made up of the student parking lot. It is an area that has at least two and probably three if the kids are real innovative, different entrances and exits that can be used. Goes into the immediate area of the gymnasium and the pool on the west side, so that gives you a bit of a configuration of where we're at.
Sheriff, who did the student ask for this specific teacher?
He asked the other students that were in the immediate area the location of the specific teacher.
How is it that no teacher or administrator encountered this student first? How did a student get to the armed student first?
Well, I think first off, you have to understand that this is a high school. These young men and women that are here to be educated come and go fairly freely. They have downtime, they have breaks in their day. So they are moving in and about the school on a regular basis. Certainly as the individual entered the school, he asked for the teacher immediately from the students that were in the area. There were no other teachers in the area.
Was the gun available? Was the gun visible at that time?
Yeah, the suspect was carrying a
Pump action or rifle?
Hang on. The student that entered the high school was armed with a shotgun. I'm not at liberty, nor will I discuss the details of that weapon at this point. However, it was clear that he was armed with a shotgun. He made no effort to hide it or conceal it. He carried it into the school as he entered the school.
And was it the other students who alerted the teacher then?
The word got around immediately that he was looking for the teacher. Yes, ma'am.
And the active shooter protocol, is that something that was started right after Columbine or just in the last several years? A little bit, what's the history about that program?
Well, clearly the active shooter protocol has to do with going to the threat and not waiting. It is a protocol that has been trained across the state of Colorado, not just in one or two local agencies, but we not only train in our individual agencies, but then we come together regionally and we train on these particular protocols. I will remind you of training programs that we put in together and exercises around Operation Mountain Guardian several months ago that had to do with active shooter. Those protocols, unfortunately, have had to be used far too many times in Colorado and across the United States because of these tragic episodes where people decide they've got to even up the score with a weapon. Yes.
Sir, can you tell us, please, if there was an SRO?
We had an SRO. The SRO immediately responded on his own to the area of the threat.
Do you know where he was, the SRO?
I do not know.
Thank you. What can you tell us about the confrontation between the...
Initially, we were told there was a confrontation between the shooter and the student that was wounded. At this point in time, it appears that that is probably not accurate. It appears that the student was simply in the area of the shooter and was shot at the time the shooter came through the school.
Can you describe where this person was shot?
I will not discuss the wounds or any information around the victims at this point.
How far was the shooter able to get into the school before we assume he took his own life?
Well, the shooter actually went quite a ways into the school because we found his body in the internal portion of the school in a classroom.
Sure. Did anybody discharge, police, law enforcement discharge weapons?
There was no law enforcement weapons discharged in the school. They were armed. Certainly, if you speak with students and faculty that were in the school, the deputy sheriffs and the police officers that responded and reacted to this active shooter were adequately armed.
How many shots
They
fired?
were armed. They were armed with urban street rifles and their service weapons, which is part of our protocols. They entered the facility with the absolute responsibility and purpose of eliminating the threat. They quickly worked the school to try to find that threat, and as soon as they found the individual down, they realized what the situation was. Anastasia.
Sheriff, will your folks or CBI or the FBI be searching the home of the shooter looking for any notes or evidence that this might have been seen coming?
We will. The question was if we'll search the home of the shooter. We will conduct a thorough and complete investigation. We will take our time to ensure that it's done right. We will not do it quick. Part of our protocol will be a thorough investigation, which includes a search of the suspect's home, a search of areas where the suspect may have had access to other weapons or material that would have motivated him to do this tragic act, and we will search portions of the school that he would have had individual and immediate access to.
Sheriff, at this point, is there any indication that this is tied to the anniversary of Sandy Hook?
Absolutely no indication at all that this would be tied to Sandy Hook. Certainly something that we will look into. Always an issue that we have to focus our attentions on.
Sheriff, is there a vehicle being searched in the parking lot that he drove here?
If he brought a vehicle to this school, it will be searched, and it will be rendered safe first, and then it will be searched.
How many shots fired and where did the shooting take place?
The shooting happened in the immediate west portion entry of the school. I don't know how many shots were fired. Part of what our investigators will be trying to conclude.
And did the suspect actually have a class with this particular teacher? Did they know each other?
They clearly had a relationship. The degree and level of that relationship is yet to be determined, something that we will talk about in days, not hours to come.
Can you identify the teacher?
I will not.
How about, will there be,
I don't have any information.
this may
to
be
it.
more for the school superintendent, but will there be school, how long before classes resume?
I certainly would leave that to the school board and to the superintendent, and I'm sure that's an issue that they will discuss in the hours to come, and will make a decision. Folks, I will take about 3 more questions, please.
Sheriff, you said
Yes, sir.
Earlier you said that there were no accomplices in your last news conference. Has there been any accomplices or collaborators identified? And the second question, part of it is, there was no threats made to this school prior, not by this man, but by another person that you will also perhaps investigate?
First off, the question was if there were other threats. We don't know yet. No threats that we are aware of to this school or to this teacher, but that's part of what we are trying to investigate. At my 145 briefing, I told you that it appeared to us that there were no other co-conspirators or collaborators. It continues to appear to us that the shooter that is deceased was the lone actor in this tragic event, but we will continue to try to confirm that and ensure that we have that information accurately taken care of. Marshall?
Sheriff, you said that he's talking with his family and colleagues. What did you mean by colleagues?
Well, certainly other students, friends, family members, anyone who may have been associated with this individual, that he may have indicated days or weeks or months ago that this was something that was on his mind. We will do a thorough and complete investigation, and that includes dealing with anyone who may have been associated with our shooter over the last several months or weeks. Yes, sir.
And Sheriff, as far as people who live around here, any idea how long everything's going to be shut down? They need to find a new route?
I think that's a great question. We will keep this intersection and this immediate area shut down for the remainder of the night. I can't imagine we will open this area until shortly after 10 p.m. tonight. So folks that are traveling need to make appropriate arrangements.
Are the other
The fact that we are keeping it closed down is a product of the resources we currently have in the immediate area, and the fact that we have an investigation that will require our public safety professionals to move back and forth safely. We will keep this closed for a period of time.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Yes, ma'am.
Sheriff, I just heard from the governor, today is your last day. Are you retiring?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm so sorry then.
It is not my last day. I simply announced yesterday my retirement, but that's not relevant to our situation.
Has everyone been evacuated, Sheriff?
They have.
Was there anyone injured in the evacuation?
None.
Thank you.
Are
Okay.
the other schools off lockdown?
We have no other schools on lockdown. We initially thought about it, but immediately realized that this situation was isolated specifically to Arapahoe High School. With that, folks, I thank you for your time. We will put out another media